Coming up on today's show, we're celebrating 6 years of What's Good Games. Yeah! I don't know what this thing is that I'm doing. It's like a let's go. Like I'm doing a Superman punch.
We're projecting our enthusiasm.
Superman punch. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I am one of your hosts, Andrea Renee, joined in studio by my partner in crime, my bestie with the Westie. That doesn't make sense. Brittany Brombacher is here.
Hello, that's me. I'm like, what else rhymes with Westie and bestie? Testy, zesty.
My bestie with the zesty.
Yeah,
I like
not
that.
the chesty, unfortunately. Thanks, child.
I didn't even think about that, but
Hey.
it's so good to see you, friend.
I know. You're so much more beautiful in person.
You know, thank you. I'm going to take it.
I think that's a
will take
compliment.
it.
That's
Yes.
supposed to be a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Okay, good.
And your hair looking luscious as always. I'm loving this whole Hello Kitty vibe that you have going on.
Girl, Ross, $7.99.
What?
Telling you.
Oh, I love me a Ross find.
No, it feels so good to be back in the studio. It's been like the third time in 3 years, I think.
Dang you, COVID! Yeah, we unfortunately didn't get to use the studio over the last couple of years in the way that we hoped. You know, building the studio, we were so excited. I remember when we did our tour and we had that really cool opportunity to work with Patreon and we shot a bunch of stuff here and then everything stopped.
And then our lives changed in such a way that I don't think we could have predicted. Pandemic and children. Hey, But we've talked about that many times.
And we will talk about it again because it is our waking moment for us and for a lot of you out there. So this week's episodes, when we are going to talk about some news and we are going to talk about what we've been playing. As you can see, we are not joined by our third co-host, Riana Manuel-Peña. She unfortunately was busy when we had slotted time to record the weekly show, but
We are joined by Tom Nook's head.
yes, Tom Nook.
It's just the head. And I put a crown on him because I feel like he is the king of thievery. So
It's true. Oh, well, cheers.
cheers.
Brittany has a mini bottle of Buffalo Trace for everybody listening on podcast. One of her little tiny nips, as they are called, and I'm drinking a glass of Chandon.
Tiny nips.
Nips. They're called nips. These little bottles.
I know, but we were just talking about how I'm not chesty. And now you're saying I have tiny nips.
Okay, that was an inadvertent mistake. Did not intend for the conversation around tiny nips to revolve around breasts in any way. Just around tiny bottles of alcohol.
Tiny nips. Oh, yeah.
But hopefully you guys caught our anniversary stream on Wednesday. And if you missed it, the VOD is up on Twitch and at youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. Now, we did it a little different this year because you were in town for a top secret event, which we're going to talk about eventually.
I can say what the event was. I was
Okay.
playing Final Fantasy 16. I want to bang everybody.
Well, we can't wait to talk about it more when, the embargo lifts, and we will have more info on that soon. But you were in town, and so we decided to do the stream on a Wednesday, and I assume that we have a blast because it has not yet happened as we're recording this episode.
That is true.
We've decorated, so if
We
you're
did.
watching on YouTube, you can see.
Yeah.
You got the streamers and the balloons.
Yeah, it's cute. It's shiny. We got the big 6 hanging out in the tree.
6. Yeah, decided to get rid of the television that was on set.
Yeah.
It felt like it was just a little too imposing, a little big, distracting. And quite frankly, it's a lighting problem for me.
Oh, because of the glare. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I wanted to do some different camera angles and stuff, which, eventually I'm going to do. And so I was just like, you know what? It's time to just move it on out.
Yeah. I think it looks good. It opens it up, if you will. And now we have this beautiful tree behind us, which can be our unofficial 4th chair of What's Good Games.
Yeah. And
Woody.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. No notes. So today's episode is brought to you by Honey and Factor, but we'll tell you more about them in just a little bit. And I also want to thank our Patreon producers for the month of May: Chewy's Godson, Alex Rigopulos, Faris Attieh, Justin Foshee, and Punkdefied. And welcome to our Patreon community, Jacob Ward and Sora Troy. And Brittany, I believe we ask everybody week after week to leave us 5-star podcast reviews because it truly does help us. We were up in the ranks again this week.
Yeah, it's really helpful. And I will repeat this goal that I've said before on the show is we are currently at a 4.6 rating. And like, listen, that's not bad.
That's very good.
If I were Redfall and I had a 4.6 out of 5, I'd be very, very happy.
Sorry. More on that later.
But, you know, I think the unfortunate truth is a lot of those 1-star reviews we get are just from people who don't like women in video games. And so I think we should counter that. And we can only vote for ourselves so many times. So if you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, whatever, would like to support the show, leave us a 5-star review. It bumps us up in the algorithm. And then it gets that 4.6 up to like a 4.7. Which
We're
would be
shooting
even better.
for 4.8 or 4.9 like my WikiFeet score.
Oh, can we beat Andrew's WikiFeet score? That is the new test.
Only you guys can make it happen.
Yeah, so that'd be really helpful. Please and thanks. Love you.
Love you.
Hearts.
Hearts. Can we do it together?
Hearts. I was looking at the screen. We should look at the camera. And do
Okay,
it.
one more time.
Okay, good. Hearts.
Okay, we did it. That's going to be a gifable moment right there. All right, so we don't have a ton of news to talk about this week. So the episode's going to be a little bit on the shorter side, but hopefully y'all can check out the anniversary show. But we did want to talk about The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom spoilers. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, just kidding. We're not actually going to talk about the spoilers. That would be dumb and stupid. But the game is coming out very soon. Next week? Next week.
12th? Is that next week?
Friday.
What?
Oh my goodness.
Is it really?
It really is. It really is a week away.
We're here,
which is
friends.
wild to think about. So, of course, like a lot of video game launches these days, Zelda was not immune to leaks and spoilers, and we're not going to talk specifically about what those are. If you are an enterprising individual who wants to hunt those down, you can do that. But Brittany, you included this because I assume you have some thoughts.
I have lots of thoughts. And the first thought I have is that these are the fuckers that I want in the front lines in the zombie apocalypse. These people who are streaming Tears of the Kingdom because they are fearless and they do not fear the almighty God that is Nintendo. Nintendo's out here ruining people's lives. They have made examples of so many people, like the Bowser kid, right? And I think I have the stats in here, like what just happened with him. Gary Bowser is a hacker for Team Executor, I don't know how to say that, who developed and sold devices that enable people to play pirated games. He was jailed in 2022 and has been ordered to pay 25 to 30% of his monthly gross income for the rest of his life.
Because the amount that he owes Nintendo is so vast, he can't possibly pay Nintendo in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
He literally has to pay Nintendo forever.
And he'll never be able to pay them what was like $10 million or something ridiculous that he was fined. It's outrageous.
Don't cross Nintendo, kids.
Don't do it. Yeah. And so people are already selling physical copies of this game for up to $300. And then people now are pirating Tears of the Kingdom and streaming it. And it's just wild. And they're subpoenaing the people who leaked the art book on Discord. So they're like doing all of that. Like they're not messing around. Anyway, just unfortunate. But it is just kind of, I don't know. It's just, this is such a momentous game that it's like fact that it's out there and there's spoilers out there. And there are some websites out there that are covering the spoilers. And shame on you, I say. Don't do that. That's icky and ugly.
No.
It's out there, man. And it's just wild. It's just wild that it's like, wow.
Would you pay $300 to play Tears of the Kingdom 1 week early?
Could I get in trouble for it?
Yes.
No, it ain't worth it. I mean,
if you couldn't get in trouble for it, like if Nintendo was never going to know it was you that bought the pirated copy.
Oh, absolutely.
Really? $300?
Oh, girl, you remember how much I spent on Pokemon Go? Like I sometimes
well, but
okay, those are actually totally irrelevant. Like those have no connection to it. But no, like I think I would. I think that would be really exciting. And obviously from a content creation standpoint, once embargoes go up, I don't know why I couldn't give my coverage. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yay.
That's true.
But honestly, like I talked to Jason about this. Nintendo is one of those companies that we never get early access for their first party games. We always get codes the day of release. And in some ways, I kind of like that because Nintendo is like this magical company who still does this magical stuff. And even though I've been disappointed by some of the things they've done in recent years, it's still really, there's something really cool about their products. I feel like no matter what they put out there, I'm going to be amazed by something, right? And the fact that I don't have to crunch for an embargo and the fact that I can just play the game when everyone else does and be a part of that hype, it's really cool. And so part of me is like, do I really want to hard pitch Nintendo on getting their games early for all the embargo releases, or do I just want to get them the day of like everybody else? You know, I don't know. It's like that child magic that I still like get to hold on to this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Because sometimes you crunch for games like Redfall.
And it's not fun.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, but yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, so just be careful. Like, mute the keywords on social media. Don't go on any of the Reddit threads if you want to be surprised. Now, like, I think the most hilarious thing about all of this is I think there's going to be some major plot, like cool plot things that happen in this game. But we as the fans put so much more stock into the stories that Nintendo tells in the Zelda games than Nintendo does themselves. You know, we have all these theories of like who Ganon is going to end up being, or if Demise is coming back, and you smile and nod. And like, who knows? Like, even if that does happen in this game, it could just be like a little glimpse, and it's not going to live up to the hype that we have in our heads that it's going to turn out to be. So it's just kind of funny that we're all like worried about story spoilers, because there might not be that many actual story beats, because it's, you know.
I felt like a lot of the storytelling in Breath of the Wild was environmental and really more about the player exploration and discovery of the world than actual scripted narrative cutscenes, right?
It was, yeah. And the towns in Breath of the Wild were just a total joke. Like, the NPCs never had anything really exciting to say, nothing super fun. There were some side quests tied to the towns, but it was all really like boring vanilla stuff. So yeah, like, it's never really been. Anyway, we don't have to go kick this dead opponent, if you will. But anyway, we don't have long to wait, which is very exciting. I can't believe it. I'm getting babysitting for the Friday it comes out.
Good for you.
And the Friday night, and
as
we're
you
just gonna
should.
play it. Yeah, we're just gonna play it.
I love that for you.
Thanks.
I'm going to be out of town for a friend's wedding, so I will not be able to probably find time, though I am thinking of bringing my Switch. I'm like, do I bring my Switch or do I bring my Steam Deck? Because I'm not bringing both. It's too much to take with.
I would say the Switch. I mean, you're going to want to play Breath of the Wild. Everyone's going to be talking about it.
That's
and you'll get the FOMO. Yeah.
But then how am I supposed to check in on Scrooge's shop? I'm not buying Dreamlight Valley on a third platform. I'm not doing it. Problems for future Andrea. Another story, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is getting a prequel comic.
Yeah.
Interesting. So the upcoming PS5 game, of course, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, is getting a prequel, and it's going to be available as part of Free Comic Book Day, which is today?
Is it?
No, tomorrow, Saturday, May 6th.
Yeah.
So not today. If you're listening to the podcast on release day, May 5th, Friday, May 5th. So Insomniac Games announced the comic in a PlayStation blog post earlier this week with narrative director John Paquette sharing details of the story's plot, which we will leave. If you guys want to go seek those out, you can. I think that this is cool. I think that it's a great tie-in. Obviously, Spider-Man originating in comic books having a resurgence in the digital era, which I think is awesome. And we see a lot of video games get prequel comics. And this is, I guess isn't surprising that they announced this, but does make me comfortable that we're probably going to see Marvel Spider-Man 2 this year, that it won't get bumped.
Hell yeah. No, you're right. I think the last game that I remember doing something like this was Ghostwire Tokyo, and theirs was kind of like an interactive prequel comic. I think it's a cool way to get people caught up, and especially for folks like me who don't really follow Spider-Man outside of the video games that come every, 5 years, I feel like at this point. I don't know. But it's a cool reminder for me, and it's a good way to get me caught up so I'm not super lost when they're like, oh, this evil guy is killing the town of blah, 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 and then the hero is saving the day just like blah did, and it's like, I don't know what any of that means, but now I will, and I'll feel like one of the cool kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Do it. Do the comic thing, and it's free, which is like, that's the way to do it.
And in case you missed the news, the original Marvel Spider-Man Remastered is getting a standalone PS5 release later on this month. So if you guys never played it and you didn't play it as part of the PlayStation collection that came out when the PS5 launched, they're doing a remaster just for PS5 that you can buy, I believe. It's a standalone game.
And if you have it, I think on PS4, it's a $10 upgrade fee. So what a time to be alive.
Yeah, shooting all the webs. Exactly. I love the sound effects. Okay, moving on. I do want to just briefly touch on that. I love that you put this Apex news in. Unfortunately, our Apex guru is not with us, but Season 17 for Apex Legends has new patch notes and ballistic ability details added. So we're just actually going to skip over that news. Y'all don't want us to cover that without Riana here. We are going to be getting even more news about Diablo 4 and their season pass, and more details about some of the content that's coming post-launch for that game. That info is coming next week, so hopefully we'll have more details on that soon. And then we also wanted to mention, in case you missed it, Forspoken is getting DLC. We heard about this already, called In Tanta We Trust. We have a gameplay trailer for this that just got released, and the DLC is coming out at the end of the month on the 26th of May for PS5 and PC, and it's a prequel to the narrative that you get in the main campaign.
Yep.
And I think that this is interesting. I honestly did not expect to get DLC from Forspoken, especially this soon.
Yeah, it's Forspoken. We've talked about this one too. We were blue in the face, but this is actually a DLC I would like to play. I really liked Frey as a character, and I thought the premise of Forspoken was really interesting. And the fact that this is a prequel, as Frey is launched back in time, but it also says that DLC will take place at the end of the story as Frey searches for a way to permanently rid Attieh of the break, its strange corruption. So I don't get it. Does it go both ways?
It sounds like in order to access the DLC, you play through the main campaign, but then the events that you play are like a flashback.
Okay.
Thus, they're the narrative prequel.
Yeah, here we go. The trailer says, amid her search, she follows a mysterious voice that leads her into the past. When she emerges, Frey finds herself surrounded by chaos and destruction. Injured and draped in blood-soaked clothing, she discovers a grim truth about her fate. The recently thriving Attieh is at war. But why and with whom? Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I do want to get back to this, but unfortunately, I think I uninstalled it to make room for some other games that have come out recently. And
Those
so,
small hard drives.
Well, and it sucks because it's, I would be interested in this, but I don't know if I'm interested enough to manage my hard drive space again and reinstall it.
That sounds to me like you're not interested.
I'm not interested enough. I think this is definitely something where I would do a Wikipedia search after or watch a YouTube. And it makes me sad because I really did like Frey and I did like the idea of this game. But again, and that wasn't the issue to me. The issue was just the lack of spells and the world itself, was just not very exciting. And
the timing is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think that they should have held this DLC till like July or August.
I think they just want to be done with it, though.
You think?
I think that's it. It's sort of, they've already said that. It's like, it didn't do what we wanted it to do. And I think with this, you put a pin in it and you move on.
I feel like that's Square's line for almost everything, though, with the exception of Final Fantasy XIV, which is clearly doing gangbusters still and is crushing it. I feel like Square's expectations may be just out of line for all of their properties.
Oh, no!
Or all of their stuff is underperforming, and I hope that that's not the case.
No,
so,
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, let's go.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're going to get that or see something about that. Summer Game Fest, fingers crossed.
Ooh.
Fingers crossed, Summer Game Fest. Give us some new stuff. Also, in case you missed it, Saints Row, The Heist, and Hazardous paid store DLC. The Heist and the Hazardous.
There you go.
Is that supposed to be like the Fast and the Furious?
I think so, yeah. Because the idea is you are getting sweet revenge after obnoxious movie star Chris Hardy double-crosses the boss on a successful assassination hit.
So that's out next week.
Yeah.
So very soon. And I also didn't expect to get story DLC from that game either.
Yeah, I think there's even more coming. And then maybe they announced the roadmap and we just missed that big announcement. But this is cool.
That
it sounds like we're
us.
getting a new district, a new combat overhaul, photo mode, and more. So it's a pretty big addition to this game. But as with Forspoken, I already uninstalled it. And I would really like to go back because I loved Saints Row. I really liked it. It was fun. It was so fun. And everyone hated on it because it wasn't the next, what was the GTA? That's right. There's those GTA comparisons going around. Like who in their right mind thought this was going to be Grand Theft Auto?
You don't step to GTA.
No. Anyway, it was fun. It was a fun game. But again, same sort of thing. I already uninstalled it. And I don't know if I want to reinstall it for the DLC.
You're going to be busy next week.
Yeah.
You're going to be busy. You're not playing Saints Row next week. And Marvel's Midnight Suns Switch version has officially been canceled. 2K and Fair Access Games have officially confirmed that it's not going to be coming out despite the game's impending PS4 and Xbox One release. And I'm not surprised.
So why do you think it didn't come to Switch?
Porting.
Yeah.
They probably just didn't have the bandwidth on their team and didn't want to pay another team to do it, or the way that they have the engine set up and the coding. They were like, listen, the game is just going to suffer on Switch, or we're going to have to change too many things or downgrade things. And so they're like, we're just not going to do it. That's to me like a logical reason. There could absolutely be a licensing issue or a contractual issue around that, but that seems to me like not as reasonable of an excuse, because if anybody's going to be able to do a contract, it's going to be Marvel. Turns out they're really good at it. So it feels to me more like a development and programming thing. But this is me just guessing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer because I feel like the Switch would be a perfect platform for that game.
Yeah.
But you know, the Switch is going to switch.
Everyone's going to be playing Zelda. It's fine.
It is fine.
All right. Well, that's really it for the news for this week. We're going to be talking about what we've been playing. But before we do that, we have a quick message from our sponsors.
This week's episode is brought to you by Factor. During the prime spring season, you need wholesome, convenient meals to energize you for warmer, more active days and keep you on track reaching your goals. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up with ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and tackle everything on your to-do list. Too busy to cook this May? With Factor, skip the trip to the grocery store and skip the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy and then get back outside and soak up the warmer weather. Looking for calorie-conscious options ahead of summer? Try delicious dietitian-approved calorie-smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. And with 34 plus chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options, there's always something new to try. Plus, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of over 45 add-ons, including breakfast items like their delicious apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites, and potato, bacon, and egg breakfast skillet. Or for an easy wellness boost, try refreshing beverage options like cold-pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. With Factor, you can rest assured you're making a sustainable choice. They offset 100% of their delivery emissions to your door, source 100% renewable electricity for their production sites and offices, and feature sustainably sourced seafood in their meals. And I have to give a quick shout out to a Factor meal that I recently had. It was the vegetarian tamale bowl with spiced sweet potatoes and pickled jalapeno crema. And let me tell you, that was delicious. And Jason wanted to try a bite. And I was like, nay, sir, this is all mine. You got to get your own Factor. And he did. And then I wanted his meal and he wouldn't share with me. So you reap what you sow, ladies and gentlemen. Point is, the food is very, very good. So if you want to try it for yourself, head to factormeals.com/what'sgood40 and use code what'sgood40 to get 40% off of your first box. That's code what'sgood40 at factormeals.com/what'sgood40 to get 40% off of your first box.
Today's episode is sponsored by PayPal Honey, the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer. Am I the only one who has noticed that dang near everything seems super expensive these days? Whether you're buying eggs or diapers or gas or whatever is on your list, the prices just keep climbing. That's why it feels so good when you score a deal when you're out shopping. But man, nothing ruins that feel-good moment faster than not having a coupon code ready at checkout while you're shopping online. Bummer, right? But thanks to Honey, searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. So how does it work, you may be wondering? Well, imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. And when you're at checkout, the Honey button appears and all you have to do is click the Apply Coupons button. You wait a few seconds as Honey scours the internet and finds any applicable coupon codes, and bam! If it finds one, you're saving money. So I was shopping for baby clothes. I mean, toddler clothes. Our babies are growing up so fast. But it also means that they change clothes like every 3 months. It's awful and expensive. And because I shop online to try to get the best deals on clothes, I use Honey a lot when shopping for baby clothes. And it came to the rescue. I saved almost $20 on my last haul, which can easily buy like 4 more t-shirts. It's a problem, you guys. I buy too many cute baby clothes. But Honey is there to help me save money with that wonderful little button. And it doesn't just work on your desktop computer. You can use Honey on your iPhone too. Just activate it on Safari on your phone and you can save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could straight up be missing out. And by getting it, you're going to be doing yourself a solid and supporting the show. It's a win-win, everybody. Get PayPal Honey for free at joinhoney.com/what'sgood. That's joinhoney.com/what'sgood. Welcome back, everybody. We are just going to dive right into the next segment. And as you can see, we found some friends. Please welcome to the show our wonderful co-host, Mrs. Riana Manuel-Peña.
Hello.
Looking radiant in purple and red and pink.
Thank you.
So good.
On theme.
So good.
Well, we've got to celebrate in color. And, of course, the wonderful host of Gamertag Radio, Danny Peña, is back with us.
Hello. Back to back. I was on last week or last time. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm back.
Hell yeah.
Well, we're so glad that you are joining us because everybody here, except for me, has spent some time playing the new release from Arcane and Bethesda, Redfall. So, Riana, this was one of your most anticipated games for
Yes.
2023. You and Danny played co-op, and Britt, you played co-op with Jason.
I did.
Right? So everyone had some multiplayer hands-on experience.
And single player.
And
also.
single player.
And single player.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we dive into your impressions, just a quick recap from you, Ree, about like what the premise of the game is for people who are like, I don't even know what the heck Redfall is.
Absolutely. So Redfall is a optional single player or up to 4-player co-op shooter. They have
Tip it back, girl.
different loot mechanics, but essentially it is a world where you can tackle different areas in different orders, however you like to unfold the story in your playthrough. You're facing different bosses and mini bosses and dungeons in different areas called neighborhoods, and defeating vampires as well as cultists, humans who are devoted to serving those vampires. And it looked really great when we first saw it.
So you sold me on that premise, and then
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the trailers looked awesome. A lot of the gameplay demos we saw looked great. But it seems like the vibe I'm getting from the room is that it didn't live up to expectations.
you could say that again. Oh no, I don't want to be. Listen, I never want to tear people down or be like, it's one thing to be critical, another to be mean. I don't even really know like where to start with this. So I played about 8 hours co-op only. I haven't played any single player. I played a little bit of single player, and then Jason decided to join me. I think the word that I'm using lately is just heartbreaking. I think it is just absolutely heartbreaking because the structure is there, the bones are there. I think for something that could have been really special and cool, and why this game got released when it did. Maybe Arcane just wanted to get it out there and move on from it. Maybe it was like, we have to get this out. I don't know how all that worked, but there's so much work that still needed to be done. Sometimes my game was broken in the sense that I couldn't climb ladders. Jason couldn't climb ladders.
I mean, that seems like a fundamental gameplay problem.
Like we would try to climb it, maybe we would just like glitch all the way up and then glitch all the way back down. My reticle would disappear. I would lose audio, and it was just really sad from that technical standpoint. Did you guys run into?
Oh, I have tons of bugs.
Yeah.
So, like, I played the PC version. I don't know if you.
Did you guys finish, by the way?
No.
No.
Okay.
And I was.
There's
I
a
was
reason
on
why I couldn't finish. But
console.
I'll explain why.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on
Yeah.
Series X, and Danny can talk about his bugs, but I had a couple that were game breaking that sent me back to the dashboard. So when
Okay,
we
I
would
mean-
go through some dungeons, and it would
Yeah.
completely knock me out.
So when you say game breaking, because like hard crashes to dashboard are not super uncommon.
Sure.
But did it like reset your progress or prevent you from progressing?
Not for me, but Danny.
So that
Yes.
happened to you.
Yeah, so there's a part in the game where there's safe houses, and inside the safe houses there's multiple side quests. Every time you finish a side quest, you collect a skull, right? So that's optional. You don't have to do it, right? But there's a part in the main campaign that you need skulls in order to unlock a certain area.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So I was like, all right,
So they're not really optional.
I thought it was optional first.
okay,
So
okay,
then I was telling Ria, let's just do the safe houses. Probably the side quest is going to be easy.
Yeah.
So I went to one area by myself, by the way, because this is before this whole thing happened. So I went to, it was like a church. I had to battle a couple enemies, and there was like a mini boss. For some reason, I died. Came back,
Suck.
went back to the
Get good.
went back to the same location to complete my side quest, right?
Uh-huh.
Enemies were gone. The mini boss was completely gone. I couldn't finish that quest.
Oh.
I was completely stuck with that side quest and the main campaign. So the only way I figured out how to finish it and continue the story, but not through my profile, I had to play online with Ree, and that's how I completed the mission.
So you joined her hosted game.
Yeah, that was the only way for me. I was stuck. I was
the
trying to
enemies
figure out.
wouldn't respawn.
But the progress doesn't carry over to your account, though, does
Nope.
it? No, okay.
So you were able to finish it to have the personal experience, but it it doesn't show on your game that you finished
the
game.
the only thing I could collect is just
Not
like
those sweet achievements, those chivos.
I only could collect like items. I level up, right? And
But the skull was not
But the
there.
skull, nope.
Dang.
Yeah. So that's one issue that I had. Another issue is when you go to the map and you want to go to like a certain area and you marked the place where you go.
Yeah.
The placement was like totally off from the location. And I had to, every time I had to go to the map, I had to click like 2 or 3 times in order to find like the exact location. That was like a major bug too. And we had that issue too during the preview event. So I was like, oh, it's a bug, they probably fix it. And it was still the same in the game. Now, the other issue that I have, I felt like the characters, especially, I was playing Remy. She's Puerto Rican.
I was Layla.
Layla. Love Layla too.
Remy's the one with the robot, right?
She has
Yeah, the robot is
thoughts about that.
His name is Pribon. So I feel like, and this is so messed up, but I feel like they were trying too hard to sound Latino. And sometimes Layla also sounded
brutal.
too hard,
That's all
like
she said.
as like a black person, right? So I'm like, this is weird. I felt also uncomfortable
You
playing
think
the game.
it felt like forced diversity?
It felt very forced. And I'm like, really? Like,
Which is interesting because we do know there are Blacks and Latinos on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
And the characters are voiced by people who have those lived experiences. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's an issue of the voice acting. It maybe feels more like it's not a direction.
Directing.
Yeah, it was a
the lines
bad
just
direction.
felt weird. And I had the same experience with Layla.
Yeah, because the
Really?
person who interviewed the creative director, he's Latino. He's, we were even talking Spanglish and everything like during the interview. So I was excited. I love seeing representation in games. So that part bothered me a lot. So
Interesting. The obviously I didn't have that issue because dumb. But the issue I
not
had with
dumb.
Remy, was her robot. The sound it makes.
It's so distracting.
I
Yeah, it's very
literally played an
distracting.
hour as Remy, and I had to stop and start over with Layla because
And there was no way to disable it. Not that it's an excuse,
No,
right?
I
We've talked
tried.
about that before.
I looked in every corner of the option menu because the sound was like, and I was just like, God, this is very irritating. Even Jason could hear it, and I was like, yeah. So maybe that didn't bother you. I'm really kind of weird with like repetitive sounds like that. If it doesn't sound good.
I know that some of the conversation I read online, people were saying why Arcane changed the formula, do the same thing from before, and I disagree. I think it's good for studios to try new things. Sometimes it's going to work out, sometimes don't. But to say they shouldn't have been doing this at all, like imagine this game would have been getting 10s and 9s everywhere, right? Like positive reviews,
like a Horizon.
Yeah,
It's happened
exactly.
before.
Or even like
Exactly.
what Tango Gameworks did recently, right? Another studio underneath the Xbox and Bethesda umbrella that took Hi-Fi Rush as a game completely different from what they were doing previously with like Evil Within and some of the other games under their umbrella. I mean, that game was a success and was a
Huge
very
success.
different kind of game for them.
Different
Yeah.
kind of game for anyone, honestly. It was
and that's
really
honestly
unique.
contender
Yeah.
game of the year. I love that game so much. Hi-Fi Rush, love it so much. So,
An issue I had with the narrative, unless you wanted to say something.
I
else.
was actually going to talk about some of that. Yes,
Okay,
go ahead.
Got it. So for me, something really unfortunate too was the narrative of this game and how it was told. I feel like it was really disjointed. And so even 8 hours in, I'm not even sure really what I'm doing, except for maybe I'm supposed to destroy a cultist leader. And that was really annoying. And it was just kind of unfortunate because I'm in the safe house. I have all these people. And by the way, the NPCs, unfortunately, are just so boring. It just makes me sad. They're just so one-dimensional. They never have really anything to say. Sometimes all they say is they'll cough. They'll be like, "Bleh." I'm like, all right, cool. Awesome. Good to know you, man. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting, too, is you can tell that, Arcane even said, like, the narrative was going to be a focus for this game. And you can tell they tried. And what I mean by that is there's all of these little like notes of lore scattered throughout. And I am someone who loves that stuff, especially in games like Resident Evil. Like that's my bread and butter. But I find myself not even interested in what the notes said. And I think it's because a lot of it didn't really lend itself to the world building and the way I think they wanted it to. Some of it was like a random schedule for like firefighters, or maybe it was a random person who died in a store. But it didn't tell me anything exciting. And the formatting was all off. It felt like it was all kind of centered to the left. And it was just like the same. Every document looked the exact same. But like in a Resident Evil game, you open it up, you get that sound of paper opening. Or like you flip a page and it's the sound of paper. And it looks like typewriter font. This is all like, it's not Arial, but it's some very generic ass font kind of formatted wonkily.
Did it feel like placeholder? Like maybe the
a step above
like the
placeholder.
team like put this in, but the idea was to come back and refine it or add different art assets later on.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell there could have been a lot more work done to it, and maybe in another world they did. So yeah, like the narrative itself, like I don't know, I'd love to hear what you thought, but it was just sad.
Yeah, I would say from my experiences, and just touching on the notes in particular, there are times like, for instance, the very beginning, the first environment you wake up in, there's a note that says, hey, if I don't make it, there's a gun in the glove compartment, like keep going and know that I love you or something like that. And then you come across a car very shortly after and there's a gun in the glove compartment. I'm like, that is cool.
See, that would have been cool. I never found that car. Okay.
So there were some moments where I could tell the plan and the idea was there.
Yeah.
I think, and much like a lot of people have been saying, it seems like the execution just didn't have enough time to get fully realized. And I think the same with the storytelling. It's really cool to have different missions that explain what's going on. So there's this corporation that had these really corrupt doctors who did this terrible experiment. And everything went wrong. Well, right for them, wrong for everyone else. But then it doesn't explain why is the ocean in the sky? And why is the sun blacked out? Until you get a lot further in the game. Until you choose to do those missions, you don't learn what's going on. So you could very easily miss a lot of stuff if you just go straight through in one path. And it doesn't do a great job of explaining like, oh, you missed some backstory, but here's the thing you really need to know. Yeah. And that's what's frustrating for me because I was really excited for this. And I do love that world building element. And I could see the glimmer of what it could have been, but it just didn't really come to life the way it could have.
It seems so uncharacteristic for Arcane, who's built their reputation on their storytelling chops and their ability to do environmental world building and to really get audiences and consumers hooked within the first couple of minutes. I mean, I think about Deathloop and how quickly you got immersed in that world and how well the storytelling was. Obviously, these are different teams that were working on these games, but this just sounds like a giant bummer.
Yeah. Well, I'll mention another issue that I had too. Yeah. So let's say I had a shotgun level 2, let's just say, and I'm there attacking enemies, right? And later on, it's going to get difficult, right? So, and then I find a level 6 shotgun. I felt like it was the same weapon. There was
literally
nothing
they
really.
Have the same names.
Same name, and
same
sometimes
name.
the stat line is actually better on the level 2.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
and that part I found it so
the balancing
weird.
was not well done.
Not good at all.
The first impression I got to with the weapons is I think is it called a centipede? I think it's the
that's
handgun.
one. Yeah.
It's like one of the first ones you start with, and then one of the first weapons you can find in a nearby chest is also a centipede. And it's the same weapon, maybe like a few different tweaks.
And it's not like RNG drops in the chests?
It is RNG. When you're playing co-op, like, you two could lose something and you both would get something different. But in that particular instance, it was another centipede. And I'm like, why do I have duplicate weapons? And at that point, you don't know how the inventory works. Like, am I going to find something better? Is this a duplicate weapon? Like, what should I do with it? Should I scrap it? And it just doesn't set the game off on a right foot because, what would be exciting is exploring and finding a new weapon and it's better. Like, ooh, that's now I'm incentivized to explore
You've
more.
got the carrot.
Yeah, but now it's the same weapon. And why didn't they use a weapon wheel?
Yeah,
Dude,
There's no weapon wheel?
You can equip 3 weapons at a time,
So
but
it's
you
D-pad only?
I think it's Y. You just rotate
rotate.
through your
Yeah.
weapons.
Oh, no.
And so, like, what is there? There's a handgun.
I mean, that's fine as like an alternate like input method, but like no weapon wheel?
No.
No,
weapon
so
wheel.
it's what is it? It's
And you
handgun,
can
like
use fists.
revolver.
You can also fist.
Well, you can put
punch.
anything in each of the
Right,
slots.
but there's
Melee,
the point
yeah,
is
melee.
that there's so many different weapon types.
Yes.
And you have cool vampire weapons, right? A UV beam and a stake thrower. But I came across so many humans more than I did vampires that I didn't want to have a UV beam equipped because then you walk up to a
Just
human
shining
and
a
you're
light in
pew,
their eye.
pew, and they're
Yeah,
like,
that's
you're like,
the
get
part-
a tan. Yeah.
That's
So
the
that
part
was annoying.
That was very annoying.
But then there's things though that you come across, Andrea, that you need to shine the UV beam on
Yeah.
to clear the way. But then you have to stop, open the menu, and it's a clunky system. And they should have just had a weapon wheel.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
think the consensus of the table.
I can say
is-
something positive if you want.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like we should.
I think
feel
that'd be
like
a
we
great
should.
way
Yeah.
to maybe
Yeah.
wrap up
Yeah,
the
yeah,
conversation
yeah.
of like what you did like about
Yeah.
the game,
Yes.
if anything.
Okay, what
Okay.
I like, because we could go each one, right? For me, crossplay was super easy.
Okay.
I was playing PC, Xbox Series S. We connected.
peasy to hook up,
Super
yeah.
easy. The only thing is you just gotta create an account, but that's a .net, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Through
That's
the-
standard now for crossplay.
yeah. Through there, and then it will create like a new name, and you just share that with your friends, and you connect. That's it.
Yeah,
It's
it was
super
super
easy.
easy.
Super
Okay.
easy.
Something I really loved about it was the style. Like, I really like the way the music comes in. It was a little loud. I had to turn it down. But I love the way the music comes in, like, while you're, like, listening to a cutscene or an explanation. And I really like the art style as well. And even the different times when you're hearing backstory from other NPCs, like, they give you sort of, like, this motion graphic. I really liked the look and feel of it. It did.
Yeah, and I want to say too, I don't think this is an awful, terrible game. Like, obviously, the broken issues are very, very bad, but there is fun to be had here. And we are fortunate enough to get early review copies. But if you have Game Pass, it's going to be available on Game Pass. I had a really good time, and I still want to play more with Jason. You know, the gameplay loop is very simple and straightforward. Collect a mission, fast travel, do the thing you got to do, fast travel back. And the game wants you to be efficient that way. It always is giving you options. You can scrap weapons on the go. You can fast travel right after any mission you do, because it's like, yeah, we want you to keep going. And that I really appreciate. And it is fun to walk around Redfall. You know, most of the buildings you can't go in, which is kind of a bummer. And the ones you do go in have some of these odd empty rooms. But anyway, it is a fun loop. It is very straightforward. They're not reinventing the wheel. But if you can, I mean, if you can grab a friend or someone that you love and
Turn
play
the
it.
difficulty up, and you'll have a good time.
It
At the
is-
end of the day, everybody's gonna have different opinions,
Yeah.
right? There were some parts that I love playing with. Like, I really enjoy playing with Ree. You
Yeah.
know, you probably feel the same, right?
Yes.
So, for everybody who's watching this or listening, just play it. You have a Game Pass, just try it out. Everybody's gonna have different opinions. There's people that was hitting me up saying, "No, I really like this game."
Yeah.
So, and it's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we're just letting y'all know that you might come across some issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the game-breaking stuff and the bugs and the traversal issues that you ran into are going to get fixed with a patch, and that doesn't deter people. But the larger narrative design issues seem like something that might take either a little while to fix or will never get fixed.
I think it's gonna be the latter.
There's a story about what happened with this development that I think is going to get told at some point, because this feels very, again, uncharacteristic for
Agreed.
Arcane, and it's a misstep and a bummer. But hopefully,
bummer.
you know, people will still be able to have a good time with it. Well, that's going to probably do it for this episode. I know it's a shorty this week, but we are celebrating our 6 years, and hopefully you guys checked out the stream.
Cheers.
Yes. Cheers, everybody, to 6 years.
Oh, God.
Oh, it
That's
wouldn't be
how
an
you do it,
episode of
Brittany.
What's Good Games without Brittany's burp.
Sorry. I've been holding that one, and we had all of
You
Burp
guys
cameo.
can check out the VOD on twitch.tv/What's Good Games, or I should drink, right? That's bad luck to not drink after cheers. Or youtube.com/What's Good Games. Thank you so much to everybody who's been with us. Even if it's your first episode, like I like to say sometimes, whether it's your first episode or your 325th episode, we're excited that you guys are here, and thank you for supporting the show and supporting us in video games. And we will be back next week with a new episode. May is going to be a very busy month. Get your Zelda next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.